All right, welcome back, my Bitcoin mining investing friends. So today was an odd day. Bitcoin was up, miners were down today. So what the F actually happened today with the miners? Well, we'll get into that when we look at the charts on miners. I'll give you guys my thoughts on it, but it's basically for two reasons, and we'll get into it there. We'll also take a look at the miners as far as their FASB HODL impact for their Q2 results. Now that we have all the data for June, and for the miners, what they mined, what they held on to, and what they actually sold, we can actually run some numbers on it and get pretty close to it as far as what that impact is going to be there. So Bitcoin's doing really good here. Had another new all-time high. Which today it's going to close at a new all-time high as well. Well, it did close at a new all-time high today. For the weekly, it's going to have a new weekly all-time high as well, unless things really change over the weekend here. And then we'll get into a Q&A here. So it should be pretty short and sweet. It's Friday. It's great. We had a nice week on Bitcoin. Miners, not so much. We'll take a look at it here shortly. But as always, you guys know the drill. Not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. I got to slow down on my talking. Also, we are currently under tornado watch. So if the power goes out, you guys know why. Right, we got storms coming through the area right now. So if that happens, I do apologize. I don't have a backup generator or like Tesla batteries to have power backed up. But here's what we got here. So we'll keep going until we can't anymore. And are you guys seeing the video here? I'm showing on my YouTube studio that it's still trickling, or we got a circle, spinning wheel going on. Let me know if you guys are actually seeing the stream here right now on this one. I'll give it a couple seconds here. Let's see if you guys are seeing anything or if it's just a glitch here in the matrix. Okay, you guys are not letting me know. Okay, you can see it. Perfect. All right, thank you. All right, so it's just a glitch in on YouTube studio there. All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So Bitcoin today had another nice day today. It was up another 1.34%, right? Yesterday we were up 4.27% overall. I mean, we're still in the green on the new day for the weekend, which is nice. Hopefully it doesn't get too wild here on it, but we've had a nice run up here. The miners, on the other hand, had a different story today. As you can see here on the right-hand side, majority of them were in the red here. We had a couple that were just barely in the green. So let's take a look at what's going on there. Ethereum was also up quite nicely today. Well, it was at one point at least. It finished out only being up 0.27%, but it's had a nice couple of days here, at least in the run. And it's still in the green here right now. The markets were down. I think that's partially why the miners were down as well. We saw all those guys being down, the Russell being down as well, right? That might have had an impact. I think the reason the miners were down was because of, one, they've had a tremendous run up here in the last couple of weeks. That's part of it. The other part of it is I think there was also some options expiring today on Friday. So the market makers, did their thing. They had to protect some things there, so they did that, and that's kind of why we were down. I think next week, as long as Bitcoin stays where it's at, we should be good there, and I think it might as well go back up as long as Bitcoin continues to go up as well. I think today was just a little bit of a reprieve on all the upside that we've seen here in the miners on it, and I think it's potentially due to correct a little bit here, and we had that today. And I think it's good also. So I'm not too worried about it right now. We can look at some, if you guys want, if we can look at some data points that I even shared this on X today, right? If you just kind of zoom out a little bit, the miners had a great week last week. They might have front run Bitcoin here a little bit. Might have been the case as well. And yeah, just had a little pullback today. Not a big deal. But yeah, the miners, Bitfarms was basically flat on the day, being up only 0%. And let's take a look at the weekly chart here on these guys here. And that'll kind of give you a little bit of a better understanding of as far as what's going on here. So this is the weekly chart on Bitfarms here, right? Today was down, flat today. BitTier was up just a little bit here, 0.53, but it is actually down for the week here. Had a great week last week, was up 24.17%. Kengo was down today, 0.93%. On the week, it's still up a little bit here. It was up, for the week, it's up 0.19%. It's up 17.5% from last week. Cypher was down 5.3% today, but I mean, look at last week. Last week, it was up huge. It was up 42%, right? The week prior to that, it was also up 12%. And we've had a nice run up here ever since April on these guys here. We've had, a nice rally in them. So a little corrections here and there, not a big deal. Cleanspark was down 1.94% today. For the week, it's still up though. It's up approximately 3.27%. Last week was up 14.81%. The week prior to that, it was up 18%, so it's having a really nice run up here as well. So that was good looking there. CORZ, well, we know the story with CORZ here. Today was down 5.08%, but for the week it's down 30%. We know it's because of CoreWeave and the all share deal there. That's driving the stock down, unfortunately. Hive was down today 0.86%, and on the week it's down just a little bit. It's down 0.43%. Last week had a really nice run up, 28% on that one. Hut 8 was down 1.09 today. For the week, it is down just a little bit, 0.32%. So not a lot down, right? There's barely anything. But the week prior was up 24%. The week prior to that, we were up 5.7%. And then you can see obviously where it came in at April and then had a nice run up here. Little corrections here and there, not a big deal. IREN today was down 4.7%. It's down for the week a little bit as well. It's only down 3.51%. Last week it was up 20%. The week prior to that, it was up 33%. Week prior to that, it was up 6%. So it's had a huge run up here. Little correction, not a big deal. Mara was up today, 0.74%. It is up for the week nicely here. It's starting to kind of catch a nice little bit up a little bit here. But it's been up this week, 8.38%. Last week, it was up 17.5%. So nice gains there on it. Riot was down today, 1.35%. On the week, it's still up though, 2%. Prior week was up 15%. Prior week to that was up 10%. So nice gains there. A little pullback, again, not a big deal. Wolf was down 4.68% today, and it's down 7% on the week. But again, prior week was up 24%. Prior to that, it was up 12%. And you can see how it has performed since the bottom of April here. So it's had a nice run up. Some corrections are going to happen from time to time. And as long as Bitcoin continues to go up here, we should continue this path going up forward here. On that one. Today, MicroStrategy was up a little bit, 3%. Galaxy was up 1% here. Coin was down just 0.5% roughly. Metaplan was up 2.89%. This is, which one is this one? Phoenix Digital was up 10% today. And then the blockchain group was up also a little bit, 7% today on that one. Then we got some of the small miners. Small miners were also kind of mixed here, but mostly in the green here. Surprisingly enough, Annie, Argo were in the green. DigiPower was down almost 5%. DMG was up almost 9%. Mawson was down almost 5%. Canon was up just a little bit here, 0.35. And then the ETFs for the miners were down in the red because the miners were in the red. The majority of those big guys were red. Ethereum holding companies here, BitDigital was down 4%. BTCS was up 5.5%. BMNR was down 11%. And man, that thing is definitely... It looks like a bubble being popped on some of these guys here, right? BNR, let's see, BTB. That one's actually still up for the week here. BTCS, that one's kind of coming back up a little bit. Game, which is Game Square Holdings, for the week is still looking pretty good there. It's still on the positive side, but it's definitely down. SBET, same thing, bubble being popped there a little bit. We'll see where these guys end up later on. And that's it on that one. In the after hours right now, I don't know if you guys really care about it. We'll just go through it really quick. BitDeer is down a little bit, 1%. Bitfarms is flat. Kango is up 1%. Cypher's up almost 1%. Cleanspark's down another 0.16% after hours. CORZ is down 0.24%. Hive is down, actually up 1.74%. Hut 8 is down 0.14%. We got IREN being up 0.37%. Mara is down almost 1% there. Riot down about 0.5%, and we got TeraWolf being down, up 0.41%. So overall, not too bad. And then we can see here that Bitcoin right now for the month of July is up 9.52%, which is nice to see. I'd like to see it get to like 15 to 20%. That would be great. That would be consistent with what we have seen in the past. I've talked about this many times. In 2021, right, and 2017, along with 2013, we've had really good months there. Even though it is summertime, right? A lot of people sell in May and go away, but not Bitcoin, man. Bitcoin keeps chugging along here in these nice bull runs here. So love seeing that. And then Bitcoin ETF inflows here. Probably got to reload this, I think. Wow. Okay, yesterday we had 1.175 billion being bought up into Bitcoin here. We have right now 76 million. We'll see how much Hybit, BlackRock basically bought in today. On Sunday when we do the Sunday show. We'll see what that came in at. But man, that's a lot of buying here, right? I mean, you can see all the days that we're positive. I mean, there's just a lot of buying happening on Bitcoin, which is great because that is going to shoot the price up higher. We want the adoption. We want everything else. And I love seeing it. Hopefully you guys love seeing it too. Now, looking at some of the good news stories that we do have here on Bitcoin here. The first one is CNBC anchor says, says it's hard to identify downside risk for Bitcoin for the remainder of the year. It would take a macro event to suppress prices. Buckle up. So even CNBC here is getting very bullish on Bitcoin along with everybody else, which could be a bad thing, right? Because we might get rug pulled here. We'll see. I don't think it's going to happen, but you never know. And this and also 1.6 trillion Bank of America just said Bitcoin is the best performing currency, right? Wild times. How things have changed from just a couple of years ago when the banks were poo-pooing on Bitcoin and saying it's, well, the banks didn't say, but others have said that Bitcoin's like rat poison and everything else. But look at Bitcoin now. And this is Bank of America research report shows Bitcoin as the best performing currency this year. It is up 18.2% FX versus USD. So you're going to have a lot more people having eyes on it right now. Then you got this. Universal Digital acquires 10 Bitcoin in first treasury allocation. So Universal Digital acquires 10 Bitcoin in its first treasury here. This is a British Columbia company here, looks like. It's pleased to announce it has successfully execution of its first treasury allocation into Bitcoin, advancing the strategy unveiled on June 13th to hold Bitcoin as a long-term treasury reserve asset. As part of the initial allocation, the company divested its holdings in Solana, Cardano, and A116Z token, and the proceeds were used to acquire a number of Bitcoin purchased was 10. Every price they paid was 104,000 there. So this marks the beginning of our Bitcoin Treasury Reserve strategy in action, said Tim Chen, CEO of Universal Digital. We view Bitcoin as a superior long-term asset and believe this move enhances the company's capital preservation objectives while positioning us within the global institutional shift toward sound digital money, right? Minds are being changed. Institutions are changing. Corporations are changing. They are all adopting Bitcoin here. This continues. We might be at 1 million much faster than we actually think with Bitcoin. And then this here, 1.7 trillion Citi analyst says Bitcoin has a proven track record as a store of value. We see it as a reserve asset. Smart money knows, rocket ship, right? So mentality is changing in the space completely. It's a 180 from what we've seen just a couple of years ago. And it's awesome to see. Us early adopters, we believed in Bitcoin and the thesis behind it, sound money, right? No counterparty risk for the most part. It's trustless, meaning two parties can interchange without having an intermediary there for that transaction to take place. And I love Bitcoin. Hopefully you guys do too. And seeing this stuff like this it's good for my heart. Next year, K33 completes strategic purchase of 50 Bitcoin. Full press release available below. Right, we're not going to read it. But it's just another company that's buying Bitcoin here. We're seeing a lot more of this happening here. What does that mean for us? It means good things. It means Bitcoins are coming off exchanges, off of the OTC desk, and they're being, put into cold storage potentially, which then obviously takes it off the exchanges and everything else, and it's going to drive the price up because supply and demand is not going to be able to keep up with what's on the exchanges. Next year, I think this Chinese publicly traded microcloud hologram buys up to 200 million in Bitcoin and crypto-related securities. So Microcloud Hologram Inc. announced it has purchased up to 200 million in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies related securities, derivatives with a current cumulative investment income of 34 million there. So another company that's just buying up, right? And even in China and everywhere else that you look at, any other country, you're seeing more and more of these companies adopting Bitcoin for their treasury here, which is just fantastic to see. So a lot of good news stories here. There's probably a lot more that I haven't covered with you guys. I just try to pick out some of the best ones that I can during the day when I do read some of the stuff here. And I probably could find even more on some of the other websites, the news for Bitcoin sites and things like that as well. But this just gives you a quick overview, more or less, of what's happening out there in a quick way. All right. So that's it for the good bullish news stories on Bitcoin here. Let's get into the miners here, right? How is their HODL going to impact their bottom line at the end of Q2 here? So I pulled in all the data that I could on this, going back to obviously April, right? How much did they produce? How much did they HODL? How much did they sell? All that's in here basically on it. And then we come up with the number towards the end of it, right? So we're using the averages for the months. We're also using the price where Bitcoin ended up here at the end of the month as well at $107,173 for it, and where their HODL was at the beginning, where their HODL was at the end here, and you guys can see all the numbers there as they are. So here's what we do have here right now. Based on the current information that I have here and the calculations here, there's a note here. Not sure the impact of the companies that sold more each month than mined will affect how that will affect the FASB rules, right? So just keep that in mind here. So this is my best guesstimate as far as how those calculations will work out. So we got core, obviously. Core, I don't even know what they have anymore. They don't report it, so it's kind of hard to figure them out. IREN, we know, sells everything that they mine, so it's not a big deal there. We know it's going to have any impact on them. Bitdeer is going to have about a $31 million impact on their HODL position here that they have from the start of Q2 to the end of Q2, right? So that's going to be an improvement for them. Cypher is going to be about 26 million, Hive about 54 million, Cleanspark about 300 million improvement. So that's going to be a positive for their sheet there. And then Riot's going to be 476 million, and Marathon almost 1.2 billion impact on their the FASB impact on their HODL position basically. So that's going to be a huge benefit for them. But what does that actually mean when you look at like the earnings per share? So based on the numbers that we do have for their earnings or their shares outstanding, which was last reported when they reported their Q1 numbers, we have the following numbers here. So I'm using those shares outstanding, the FASB impact, and what EPS impact that could have. Now, does not include other financials that could bring up or down the EPS. Meaning, what does that mean? Well, that means share-based compensation, depreciation, bonuses, anything like that, right? This is just looking at what addition or subtraction it would have to their EPS right now. So it doesn't include anything else on top of it. So right now, Cypher will have, Bitdeer will have about a 16-cent impact that will help them out, right, per share. Cypher about 7 cents, Hive about 33 cents, Cleanspark about $1.07, Riot $1.33, and Marathon $3.40. So that'll help them out. So if any of these guys come in negative without the HODL part here, it would definitely help them out here for the most part, unless they're way below these numbers here, right? So if they spent a bunch, gave out a bunch, or anything like that, they're not going to be EPS positive. But for the most part, if they're down 1 or 2 cents, this impact will help them be EPS positive with it. But I think there might be a couple of companies here. IREN for sure, I think, is going to be EPS positive even without the HODL and FASB impact. Cleanspark's going to be really, really close, right? That's the one I'm really watching to see. Can they actually be EPS positive without the HODL impact there? And I think they might be able to. Then we got Riot, Cypher also, and Marathon. Marathon's going to be definitely interesting to see if they can get a EPS positive without the impact of the FASB here on their HODL. But that's kind of where we're at right now on this stuff. So it's going to be a good quarter for most of these guys here. Even without the FASB HODL impact, but for the ones that are kind of struggling there to get a positive EPS, this will definitely help out. All right, so that's it. I was supposed to upload this for. All right, did I do this? No, I didn't do this today. I got busy at work and before work, so I couldn't get it uploaded for you guys. So I will get this uploaded probably. What time is it now? 9:30. I might be able to do that this evening. Get this uploaded for the Patreon members, and the link is down in the description for that. If you guys want to join, a couple bucks help support what I do, and you also get access to all these spreadsheets and to our private Discord server as well. But that is all I got for you guys. Let's get into Q&A here, see what you guys are asking. We do have a poll running right now. Where do you think Bitcoin will be in the next few weeks? A lot of you believe it will be 125,000 here. About 62% of you are voting on that right now. So I'll take that, right? If we can get there sometime in July or even in August, I'd love to see that, right? Get into 150,000 range sometime in the third quarter, and then in the fourth quarter get to like 200,000. That would be a nice Christmas present there, I think. So let's get into Q&A. And as always, as if you guys could preface the questions with a question mark or a Q, I would appreciate it. And let's see what we got here. I'm going to roll up on the comments here. Looks like we don't have that many, so it'll be kind of short here. All right, Raz got a question here. When you are expecting that Riot will contract an HPCI deal? Gosh, if I knew that, I'd be investing in them right now, right? Unfortunately, I don't know that, so that's anybody's guess, right? We have Cypher trying to get one. We have IREN trying to get one. We have others, Hive's trying to get one as well. Who else am I missing there? Bitdeer's trying to get one. I mean, pretty much all of these guys are trying to get an HPCI deal. It'll be interesting to see who secures one first. I think, based on everything that we're seeing here recently, I think IREN might be like the front runner to get one, but you never know. So we'll see. All right, John Kurtz says, per CNBC host, this is not a Bitcoin rally. This is an entire movement in the fundamental phase shift in the monetary foundation. All 4,000 FDIC banks need a Bitcoin. Wow, that's some strong proclamation there. I kind of agree with it, right? It is a fundamental shift in the way that things are moving forward here, in Bitcoin and especially. All right, Metaplan says 1 year returns, Cleanspark down 20%, BTC up 105%. You are correct, my friend. At times, well, the halving events always have a huge impact on the miners, right? Their revenues are cut in half from one day to the next. That's going to have a huge impact on them. A lot of these guys are starting to pull back up here, but if you look at where Cleanspark is right now compared to Bitcoin going to the bottom of the bear market back in December of 2022 and January 2023, basically, you can see that Cleanspark is actually up a little higher than where Bitcoin is right now. So at certain times, it definitely outperforms Bitcoin. It just depends on when you look at it. I could pick many days or time frames where it's more positive than Bitcoin, and I can also pick many time frames where it's negative to Bitcoin, right? It just depends on when you got into it personally, and are you in the positive right now or not? Did your dollar cost average down into it or not? Yeah. Alexander Hawk says, Cleanspark should have been up 300% since then. Maybe not, right? The halving events always are painful. I'm just happy to see it, crawling back up here. Let's see. Alexander says, calling for a healthy pullback when we are already in the gutter isn't what we need. A couple percentage points is not bad, right? We still have, I believe the next 6 months are still going to be really good here. Where we're going to end up at, I think we could at least double on these guys. So that'll be nice. I think that's doable as long as Bitcoin goes up. But everything depends on Bitcoin here. All right. Dom says the whole stock market is in the red. We are overdue a cheeky correction. The thing blew past all-time highs despite all the economic uncertainties. No doubt it dragged a few of the miners with it. Yeah. I'm not concerned. I mean, geez, we've been through worse times than this. So I think this is the least of our worries, at least right now. Sergio says miners are a disaster last 18 months. Yeah, again, the halving event, right? Halving event happened last May in last year. That's always going to be that time frame. Metaplan says it's dangerous to pick the last few weeks to say miners have had a great run, zoom out a year and compare them to BTC. Yeah, I do that all the time. We look at a year and a half ago, a year and a quarter ago, we look at different time frames, and the one thing that I like, at least that I like seeing, at least right now, is from where we bottomed out in April, the miners have outperformed Bitcoin tremendously here. That could be a good sign here for us going into the next 6 months potentially, right? And again, it also depends on when you got into them, right? What price did you buy Cleanspark at $24 when it peaked in, when was that, 2024, something like that, right? Before we had the halving event. Right, if you bought in at that point, or was it 2023? I can't remember. But if you bought in at that point, yeah, you're not going to be happy right now, and you want it obviously to go up much higher from where it's at. Let's see here. SK has a question here. Today on Paul Barron Network channel, one analyst suggested SBET could be in the 40s by August and possibly 200 by end of year. What is your opinion on SBET? SBET, that's the one that's got the treasury, right, for Ethereum there. Let me see here. Yeah, SBET. So that's Sparkling Gaming, right? Jeez. What are they saying? They're saying it could be 40 by August. I mean, it's right now. I mean, where's it at? $21? I mean, it could go back up to it. It was up $124 here just a couple weeks ago, and it's definitely come back down here. So it could go back up to 40. I could see that by the end of August. I could see that happening. I probably should show you guys my screen. That would probably help. But yeah, 40 I see is doable. 200 though, by the end of the year, I mean, they would have to hodl a lot of Ethereum, and Ethereum would have to go up nicely as well. I just don't know if that's going to be possible. We'll have to, time will only tell. I don't know, to be honest. What else we got here? Let's see, Tom says from 2020-23 lows, Cleanspark is up almost 500%, BTC is up 550, and that is with dilution and short interest. Cleanspark's actually up higher than that. When I read the numbers, let me see if I got that. Or maybe it's down a little bit today, 5%. Maybe that impacted it. But when I did it early today, on that one, where is it at? Where's my chart for that? Miners comparisons. Nope, that's not what I want. I want the stock performance. Here it is. Okay. All right, so it's pretty close here right now. So here's a chart on it. Go to screen. Here it is. Price difference from basically 1,323, right around where they bottomed out more or less from that year. You got Cleanspark being up 529, Bitcoin's up 527, so it's right there. Earlier today it was actually up a little higher. Bitcoin was like at 540%, 530, something like that. It was up a little bit higher. So you are seeing like Cypher has outperformed 817%. IREN definitely has outperformed almost 1,300% up right now as it is. And then, like, where's the other chart that I had from Trump tariffs? Here we go. You can see that Bitcoin's only up 26.85% from then. And you got IREN being up 140%, Cypher up 121%, HUT 8 being up 63%, Cleanspark 57%, Riot 54%, CORZ actually went down to 48%, Marathon 54%. So you're seeing that the miners here have at least done double of what Bitcoin has done, or if not more than that, right? So that gives me a little bit more, at least, confidence that I think that things are going to definitely progress this way going forward as well into the next 6 months. But things could change, right? Some kind of macro event or something like that could plummet Bitcoin and will plummet us as well. So take profits along the way if you can, I guess. So that way you guys aren't, calling me here and complaining. But yeah, that's kind of just what I'm seeing here. Okay, let's go back here. All right, Andrew Cross here. Swapped CORZ for SBET on Tuesday. Few CORZ down 10%, SBET up 30%. Nicely played there. All right, Marcus, I think you answered this already, but your pick between Sol versus ETH. I know BTC is the preferred choice, but let me know your choice between the other two. So I know more about Ethereum than I do about Solana, or Sol, however you want to call it. I know that they're both similar. I believe Sol, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe Sol has, it's able to transact more than Ethereum is, and it's also supposedly cheaper than that, right? But as we're seeing more and more companies, and especially like Tom Lee, get into the Ethereum treasury type of business here, play, I think Ethereum might do better. Might. I don't know. But that's kind of the way I would go. Yeah. Marcus says Tom Lee is picking Ethereum. Yeah, so I'm kind of going in that direction as well. All right. NG says, where do you see Bitfarms going? It seems like the stock is holding up $1. I know it has been held down for quite some time by Riot sales. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit longer for Riot to sell out completely out of the shares that they own there. So I'm still thinking it's going to be a couple weeks, couple months before that is all said and done. Yes, it's doing a lot better today. And that could be a result of Riot actually pausing their selling on it and letting the stock actually run up a little bit here, which would be a smart move on their part. But we just don't know when they're going to be done with selling it. Other than that, I did buy, that's another thing. I bought some more today of Cleanspark, IREN, and I bought a little bit more of Bitfarms today. I wanted to round out my numbers of shares that I have in each of those, and I did that. I put in about $2,000 today on those guys here. Majority of it went to Cleanspark and IREN, and then the rest went into Bitfarms there. So I did buy. But going back to Bitfarms, I'd love to have them report their monthly operations just to see how they are doing, right? But their big focus is on HPCI, and maybe they get a deal. Who knows? For their sites in Pennsylvania, that would be awesome for the stock. The stock would rocket. I mean, I still own right now. I think it's an exact 8,000 shares of Bitfarms as it is. So did I do 8,000? I think, yeah, it's right around 8,000. It should be like even 8,000 because I tried to even it out. And then, yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. All right, I'm wishing them the best for them. They're turning things around, and maybe they're going in the right direction this time around. All right, Meat Force. Question, have the management team at Cleanspark said anything publicly about their poor price performance? They've said it in not so many ways. Matthew Schultz has commented on X many times, right, about the shorts there, shorting them quite tremendously and that they should be valued much higher. So they know, the stock hasn't done that great here recently. But they got to 50 exahash. They're getting to 60 exahash, potentially even more than that later on this year. That should be good as Bitcoin price goes up. They're going to be generating a heck of a lot more revenue as it is. And they have a nice HODL position as well. So I mean, they're doing pretty good here right now. All right. Roger's got a question here. What's your next move? BTC is running hard, pushing 200,000. Cleanspark, IREN at $17. Oh, gosh. If they're at $17 still, then I might sell out of them at that point. Where are the other companies at? Right? Where's MicroStrategy at? Would it be better to rotate into those things? That's kind of where my thinking would be. Right? If the miners are not running, which I don't expect them not to run. I mean, because we've seen them already do a pretty nice run here from the bottom of April. So I would still expect them to do well going forward here. Andre has a question here. Can you put Soluna into the small miners on your list? It was up 41% today and over 120% since July 3rd. Yeah, what did I hear about them? Wasn't there some good news story from them or something like that? They're still only valued like, what, 18 million, $20 million market cap? That's just ridiculous there. And I think that maybe that's why they're running up a little bit, is because their valuation is just so low right now. I'll think about it. I know that they do provide monthly updates. The only thing that's questionable to me is a lot of the sites they do have are partnered with somebody. I would have to have a deep dive into how is that partnership structured, right? What is their percentage of the partnership there? How is that being reported? I'll think about it. Let's see. Gempel has a question. Cleanspark was doing 23 BTC a day with 42 exahash, and now with 50 exahash, they are doing the same amount, 23 BTC a day. Yes, that's a result of network hash rate going up. We also have the difficulty going up today, I think like 7% or something like that. It's going back up. So that's what you see there, right? So they're at least keeping up with the network hash rate as far as increases are concerned, and they're still mining the same amount there, but they're not the only ones that are in the same kind of boat there. Right, unless you can outpace the network hash rate growth percentage-wise, you're going to be mining the same amount or less when it comes per day. All right, how bad do you think Bitfarms' earnings will be? That I don't know. I mean, they sold the sites. Let me see. The Stronghold acquisition was in Q1, so that shouldn't have an impact on it, I don't think. Q2 might be better. We'll have to wait and see what their costs are, what their overhead is like. How much has that increased? How much have they made any improvements on that as well? We'll see when they do it. All right. Kevin's got a question here. Hi, Sebastian. If you could only add one miner, who is the most undervalued? Who would you deploy your last dry powder with the intent or goal to get the quickest upside in the near term? Oh, gosh. The miners have had a nice run up here recently. The ones that are still way undervalued, in my opinion, are Bitfarms or Hive. Hive might be the better bet there. They have nice growth to 25 exahash here by Thanksgiving of this year. And they're growing. Their costs should be coming down because of it, because of the growth. They should be generating more revenue because of it as well. They're also, they bought a data center in, was it Ontario, Canada? Like 7 megawatts, so they're going to be generating revenue from that. They're going in kind of the HPCI data center play as well. But can they get the love? That's the big thing. Can they get the love from the investors, from retail as well? They don't have any operations in the United States. That might be a drawback there. They are now at least based out of the United States, out of Texas, for reporting reasons. So tough to say on that one. And then Bitfarms, I mean, if they get an HPCI deal, that thing could rocket as well. Those two are, I think possibly have a good upside. Then you got the smaller miners, right? Like Soluna. I wouldn't touch Argo, nor would I touch any at all. Those guys don't own any infrastructure. You got DMG, DigiPower. Who else is in there? I'm drawing blank on probably one or two of them right now. But those guys could surprise us and have a nice rip because they're so low in value as it is right now. So it's hard to tell. All right. SK's got a question. IREN is hardly moving for a week now. What if it corrects to the 12-ish? Or will it correct to the 12-ish? I don't think so. I think it's holding up pretty good right now as it is. If it was going to go down, it would have gone down already. So I don't think that's the case here. I mean, look at the chart here on it. There it is. For the weekly, it's just down a little bit. It's down 3.5%. I mean, it was down further and then came back up here. If we look at the daily on it, right? Yeah, let's see. Yeah, so it's still holding up pretty good here. It's holding up right around the $16 range. We don't have much support around here, so it's kind of building its own support right now, more or less. As long as it stays around here, I think we'll be okay. Today was definitely a red day on it, but we had a red day here. We had kind of a positive couple of days, but you see this huge run-up that we've had here recently. This one little red day, not a big deal. A lot of the miners were down also. I'd be more concerned if like we had all the other miners being in the green today, with Bitcoin being in the green and IREN being down, then I'd be a little bit more concerned. But from what I saw here, I don't think it's going to be a big worry going down to 12 here. Or at least not right now. But again, I could be wrong. Not financial advice, right? All right, let's go back here. Okay, SH has a hypothetical question. Where do you Bitfarms at once Riot owns 0 and BTC between 100 by the end of the year? All right, let me see if I can understand that. Where do I see Bitfarms at once Riot owns 0 and BTC at 100 to 200,000 by the end of the year? It should be like at $3 to $4 at that point, if not higher, right? I think the analysts have it between like $4 and $6 or something like that per share. So I think it should be somewhere around there. But it also depends on how much they dilute, all that thing, right? That's kind of where I would see them at least. Okay. All right. Question. Now, how do you feel about Soluna, the competitor to Ethereum? I don't know much about it. I know enough. I guess enough. Yeah, I shouldn't say enough. I know it's similar to Ethereum, right? So I'll just leave it at that. I haven't gotten into altcoins at all since like this whole this current cycle, right? I was more into trying to find the altcoins and then try to ride those things last cycles, but learned my lesson on those things. Went all in on Bitcoin and miners. So I'm not sure. Yeah. All right. And just got a question. With your current holdings, how much speculation do you have for them? Speculations for them? Well, I got Cleanspark, IREN, Bitfarms, and Mara, right? As far as my current holdings, how much speculation do I mean? It's basically 100% speculation on them right now. Most of my capital is in those, along with Bitcoin. So, let's see. In fact, their option chains are having weird movements today. That's why I think today that's why they were in the red here today. I think there were some options expiry. SH, if Bitcoin gets to 180,200 by the end of the year, where do you see BTC trading at next year? Next year, okay. So as long as we don't have a repeat of the previous cycles where Bitcoin goes down 70-80%, I think we could be going up, right? Meaning that we're going to have an extended cycle. Reasons for it: adoption, governments owning it, corporations owning it, states owning it. You're going to have a lot less of these. Of the retail basically being in there. Retail, the last previous cycles was a big contributor to a price going up and also price going down. You had people, getting in at the lower end and selling at the higher end, and once you get that started, it's just a cascading effect. So I don't think we're going to see that this time around because they're going to be holding on to it. They're going to be buying more of it as well as time progresses. So you're possibly not going to be able to, well, we're possibly not going to see that at least, I don't think. So if that happens, and then next year, I would expect maybe Bitcoin to go to 300,000, 350,000, somewhere around there, potentially. We might have some pullbacks of 20-30% along the way, where they're extended like 4 or 5 months, like we've seen here just this past year, right? We had it beginning of this year from January to April. We saw it last year as well when Bitcoin got to 72,000 and we went down to 42,000 or 43,000, whatever it was. So, but that took a lot longer, right? It took 4 to 5 months for that correction to happen. Once that happened, we started going back up. So we could see that kind of thing happening where we go down 20-30%. On it. But yeah, we'll have, only time will tell on it, unfortunately. But this is just kind of what I'm thinking right now, at least. Meat Force question. Invest answers was big Cleanspark bull, but is now looking to exit at the next pump. He also thinks there won't be a short squeeze. Thoughts, mate? Depending how, well, I think there's going to be a short squeeze. The shorts in it right now, last time I checked, was about between 25 and 27% of the shares are being there shorted, right? As price goes up higher, I think we might see some short squeeze. I know that there's some options? There's something about once it gets to $24, there's some options that need to be triggered or something like that where they have to dilute some shares at that point, right? So I think that might be a little local top for it before it can squeeze through that and then go back up higher potentially. But I'm still long bullish, whatever you want to call it, on Cleanspark this year, as long as Bitcoin doesn't correct too much, right? Because if Bitcoin corrects again 30%, we could come down on the miners a little bit more than that. So that's why we really want Bitcoin to go up steadily over time here over the next 6 months, possibly to like 180,000, 200,000, whatever it might be, and then correct. I'll be fine with that if it corrects after that. But yeah, I'm still bullish on it. So I think, I mean, I still own a lot. It's my biggest position right now. I'm up on it. Today I was up around 137%. IREN, I'm up 111% on that one. But those two are pretty close to as far as my initial capital that I deployed into those two companies here. So they're doing really well for me. All right. Okay, SH says, I still own about 150,000 of Bitfarms with $2.28 average. My trading history taught me when a company is silent, usually something good is cooking. I can see an HPC deal coming soon in the next few months. Okay, that would be great. And I hope you go way above that and recoup. I mean, I know you're in a loss right now. I'm in a loss at it right now as it is too. My average was $1.40 something on that one. But I sold a lot back in November and December of last year. Sold 2/3 of my position there. All right. Can Cleanspark go to $18 this month? Bitcoin goes to 125,000, 130,000. I think it's possible. I mean, we've seen what it can do in a week. It can definitely go up quite nicely here, so it could possibly get there. Gary's got a question here. Question, nice to see IREN cool off a bit on the chart from heavily overbought. The chart experts were all predicting a drop to $5 to $10. Any prediction on its low in the next couple of weeks for an entry? On IREN, we're looking at IREN right now. I think, I mean, based on what we've seen here in the past, I would say, let's go back to the screen here. This is daily. I think there's some support here potentially around maybe 15, right? We see that here. We see it also over here. So those were the previous two tops. I think those might act as support here going forward. If those don't hold, then we're going down to like $13 possibly. But I think as long as Bitcoin continues to go up here, I think they will stay in this range, if not go up even higher. Because they're just going to be obviously generating more revenue. And they're working towards their site Horizon 1. Now we got news that they're working on Horizon 2 as well. They're buying GPUs as well. So it's going to be interesting to see, right? That's going to be generating revenue for them. So I don't know if it'll come down too much. I mean, it might correct a little bit here. I mean, it had a nice correction here today. You can see that on the RSI. But yeah, I would say, let's see if we can hold it for like $15, $15 and a half, $15, something right around there. If we can hold that, I think we might be okay. All right, let's see, talked about that one. Andre says, Gary, I think 1250 to 1350 is a good spot. Yeah, so that'd be like if you don't hold $15, we might come down to there. Yeah. All right, Neville says, I think Anthony Powers said that Bitfarms is still far out from securing a deal. I personally don't think it'll happen until 27 or 28. I look forward to their earnings call. Yeah, I mean, the sites have to be built out because, I mean, really at the Pennsylvania sites, they really don't have anything there other than some containers for Bitcoin mining right now. So sites would have to be built out, right? Some of those items there are long lead times. The only good thing that I know, Ben has mentioned about the site in Pennsylvania, is that if they can get the interconnect through the PGM, I think market it is, they could possibly not have to install those expensive gas turbines for generation of power, right, as backup power. They could have the interconnect there, which could save them quite a lot of money there as well. So, yeah, that might be a good thing there. Might also reduce the lead times on some things for them and make it so they can actually build it out more quickly, I guess. But we'll see. NG, my bad, I meant Bitfarms option chains. Okay, those were looking a little strange there. All right, VGA, got a question here. It seems impossible to estimate Cleanspark's price for higher BTC price. I would say, I'm sticking to my guns here. I think at the very bare minimum, if Bitcoin goes up 2x, these guys should do at least a bare minimum 2x. So that's kind of the way I would go about it. VGA says maybe the whales want to catch everyone off guard. They will pump miners hard when no one expects it. It could be. All right. I mean, there's a lot of institutions that are in these miners. All right, we just got a question here. The Q2 results for Cleanspark has to pump stock price no matter what. I want to see them being positive without the FSB impact on there. If they can do that, I think the stock will do well. All right, Roger's got a question here. Why invest in miners if only 3 miners beat BTC performance? Risk to reward is not there. This cycle, it has not played out to date, has not played out that way, right? Prior cycles, miners have way outperformed, but I think you also have a lot more on-ramps here to Bitcoin and Bitcoin treasuries and just Bitcoin in general than you had in the past. In the past, you had two options. Buy Bitcoin directly or basically buy the miners, right, which were a proxy on Bitcoin. This time around, we got the ETFs. We have holding companies, treasury holding companies for Bitcoin. There's more ways you can interact with Bitcoin here than just miners and Bitcoin right now. But we still have 6 months more to go. We'll see where we end up at that point, and what is that going to look like actually. Okay. Dom says, I still think we'll see a bear market, no doubt. When we are pushing 150 to 200,000, everyone will be calling for Sailor super cycle before getting rugged. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I just see too much adoption here, and a lot of these. I mean, at that point, you're going to have. Well, it could happen where the companies are also selling, but I just don't see it. I think just the adoption is going to be happening more and more. Excuse me. All right, Dynamite Uber says, if I have 6 figures in miner, you bet I would be in WGMI. I probably should pull this up for you guys. In WGMI or BKCH, some people have no concept of risk being all in a single miner SMH. Yeah, I got 4 miners. I'm diversified, am I not? But I'm still the same thing, right? Do not do what I do. I'm going in hard. I'm going in very aggressively, more aggressively than one probably should. But sometimes you just need to make these wild bets on things that you have a high conviction in and see what those fruits of your labor are. Right? This is money that will not impact me in any way from day to day. If I do lose it all, I'll be okay. I won't be happy about it, but I'll be okay, right? My kids will be okay. Everything will be okay. This is just one of those things where, for me at least, it's one of those, try it and see how it works out. Based on the data that I have, can I, do pretty good based on that? And we shall see. I mean, I'm up right now as it is. So I'm up 100% on both IREN and Cleanspark. So I'm doing good right now, right? So even if things drop down 50%, I'll still be up 50% on these guys, and I can just sell it, I'll be fine. So, but it took a while, right? A dollar cost average in for like 2.5 years on these things. So it wasn't an easy thing to do. All right. BGA says, I don't think reaching a particular BTC price is enough to pump miners. The whales need to see BTC form a strong base at higher levels. Only then they pump it. Maybe, but I think we're already seeing that with Bitcoin going up. We're seeing some of the miners do pretty good here, right? From the bottom of April, miners have outperformed Bitcoin already as it is. So, yeah, I'm sticking to my guns. I think Bitcoin is going to go up. I think the miners will do better than Bitcoin here in the next 6 months. All right. You guys got a question. Which miners looking to go into HPC have experience building data centers that are proven for neo cloud mining? The only one I can think of right now is IREN, right? IREN's got some skin in the game. TeraWolf in the past did a little pilot project. A lot of these guys are trying to do like a little pilot project. Even IREN did a little pilot project as well. So they're all learning this. It's just a matter of how fast can they learn and can they build out from that as quickly. But IREN right now, I think, has the best chance. All right. The Asian dietitian, is you and your dad holding the core stock given the plan for core weave stock conversion, or is he going to try and sell it in batches before then? So he sold a portion of it yesterday. Was it yesterday? The day before. We sold it on Wednesday. He sold it. I don't own any cores anymore. I sold it last year when I got into it. It was up 100%, and I sold it and moved it into other things. But he sold a portion of it. Because he had 2 accounts of it. The one account he had was... he bought before the bankruptcy, and then he dollar cost averaged it into the bankruptcy, and then he bought it on another exchange just in case it does, the warrants. We weren't sure on the warrants, so he bought it over there as well. On the other account that he wanted to put money into it, so we sold that one without the warrants. So the ones that he has warrants on, he still has that one. That one he's holding on to see where that goes and where does it go with being bought out by CoreWeave and what those shares look like and how does that company perform. So that's what he's done right now. And he's rotated into, he bought the rest of his portion in Cypher and IREN today. So he bought some on Thursday, and we bought the rest of it today as well. My dad is not very tech savvy, so I do all this stuff for him. Because otherwise, I think he would have probably moved money into a wrong wallet or wrong place, or yeah. So I'm doing that stuff for him to help him out. Okay, Marcus. Ethereum is more secure and Sol is faster and able to handle more transactions from my research. That's kind of what I understand too. Sol has had issues in the past with their network being down for a while. So, and Ethereum, as far as I can remember, has never had an issue there. Yeah. Marcus says Ethereum has higher transaction fees. Yeah, I believe that's also the case. Angie Torres, hey Seb, I ran a trend indicator on Cleanspark and it's pointing to a potential price around 20 by September. Okay, that's awesome. Did the same for BitDigital, showing a possible move to 16 by then. Not financial advice, trends always change. Okay, yeah. BitDigital is going to be interesting because BitDigital is spinning out their white fiber to a separate IPO. I think they're raising $100 million there. I saw that. And they're not mining Bitcoin anymore. They're going to become a treasury company. We'll see how that does, right? Let's see where the stock ends up after that. All right. Andre, I just asked about putting Solana on the small miners list because you don't even talk about the small miners in any way other than once in a while reading the percentage gains losses early in your stream. Yeah, because there's not much going on with those guys. Not Cypher. Sphere 3D has not reported anything since May. Who else was that? Mawson, same thing, more or less. Argo, same thing as far as press releases. Nothing's going on with those guys. So it's kind of like the only ones that got anything going on for them is like DigiPower, DMG, also Soluna. I can see some stuff always popping up on them as well. So they're smaller miners and there's not much going on with them. I think the bigger guys have more potential here, and it has kind of played out that way. Sadie, thank you so much as always for the thumbs up and the likes. Gary, he's got another question here. Which miners looking to go into HPC? Okay, already covered that one. Let's see. Ron's got a question. Hey, Seb, hope you're well. I am, thank you. I hope you're doing well also. Where do you think BTC tops before the next pullback? I think, unfortunately, we might see a pullback around 150,000. I think at the next 150,000, we might see 20%, 30% correction. I would love it not to do that. I would love it to continue, maybe have a little correction, 5 to 10%. I would love that. And then continue going back up. But if it's not at 150,000, we'll probably get one at like 180, 200,000. We'll get one at that point. All right. Asian dietitian, if BTC doubles, what do you expect the miner stocks to do from current stock prices? Match BTC to double or more or less? At the very least, I would expect them to at least do the same thing. So double from where they are right now. That's the very, very least I would expect them to do. Just given their revenues are going to be going up, right? There's going to be some obviously impact on the HODL, or not the HODL, on the hash rate, which is going to more or less increase. But as long as Bitcoin is outpacing that, their revenues are going to be increasing tremendously here. We got some guys that are going to be possibly looking at an annual run rate of about 1.4, 1.3 billion in revenue. I mean, that is just insane. And some of these guys are not being priced on that right now as it is. All right, Roger got a question. If there is so many on ramps, why are you still so bullish on miners as opposed to MicroStrategy, CEP, Jack Mallers, Metaplan, etc.? Good question here. I can see what's going on with the miners more than I can see what's going on with the other companies, right? Yes, we do get updates from MicroStrategy as far as when they're buying more Bitcoin and things like that. But as you can see here, at least in the last, I would say, couple months, MicroStrategy has been buying a heck of a lot of Bitcoin. And the stock, even with Bitcoin going up in value, has not really done much, right? It's been kind of flat or more or less. So at times it does that. I think eventually it will bounce back up here and overshoot probably quite a bit and then correct back down like it did in November of last year. So I think the miners, well, one, the miners are an integral part into the securing of Bitcoin itself, the network. And the other thing is, I think given last cycles, I don't think they're going to perform quite as well, but I think they're still going to outperform Bitcoin here. So that's kind of why I'm in them. Marcus says, Sage, I think you may be right when you can't bear the pain anymore. That is when they move. right when you get out, Ben, the CEO, wouldn't have put his money up if he didn't believe in the company. Yeah, he bought some shares there. Yeah, I agree. All right. Ron's got a question here. What price do you think Bitfarms might reach in the next 6 months? Again, depending on how hard Riot is selling and when they're selling, that's a big unknown there. But depending where Bitcoin goes, and if Riot pauses selling or at least limits the selling, let the stock run at least a little bit. I mean, I would think it'd be at least $2, $3, $4, somewhere around there, as it is. All right. Love and Gaming X says pretty. This might be similar to 2021. Slight bump in August, September, usually a down month. Well, we usually get a pump in July and August, and then we have a down month in September. Then we go back up after that. I'm not worried until December. Yeah, we'll see where everything goes, but that's going to be a fun 6 months, I think. Marcus says, worst case scenario, Bitfarms Ben is going to want to get his money back at $1.67. You never know, right? He might hold on to that. He has high conviction, high belief in the company. Obviously, he's running it. He knows things that we don't know. So, but that's always a good sign when somebody's buying there. All right. Sarmel, MicroStrategy is very overvalued compared to its holdings. That's why it's performing terribly the last 3 months compared to miners. You still think it's overvalued based on that? I know it's pulled back from 520, 540 back in November, down to like 200 some. I thought right now, I would have to run the numbers on it, but you might be right. I haven't run the numbers on their MNAV or anything like that. Firefreak says $4 Canadian or USD for Bitfarms. That would be USD. I could see them somewhere around there, right? I would say somewhere between $2 and $4. I could see them possibly being at. All right. Liam, Cleanspark cost of BTC will be electricity cost. MicroStrategy cost will be market price. That is true. Yeah. Right, especially as Bitcoin price goes up higher, 150,000, 200,000, their cost to mine is around 40, 50,000, somewhere around there, right? Cash cost. I'm not talking about depreciation, all that other stuff, but just cash cost to mine, and Bitcoin's at 200,000. You can see the margins on it right there. Whereas MicroStrategy is going to be buying it at 200,000 at that point. All right. Ron's got a question here. Do you hold MicroStrategy? If so, why? I do not hold MicroStrategy, no. Never got into that one. All right, Sarmelin says treasuries are being cycled out, miners in. Okay, that would be good, right? So we'll see how the miners do going forward here. All right, I think we're all caught up with all the questions. It's 10 o'clock, almost 10:15. We've been going on for about an hour here. Let's see if we got anything else coming up. We do not. Okay, let's call it a day. It's Friday night. I was thinking about going to see the movie Superman with my kids tonight. I don't know if they're going to have a late showing or not. We'll see. I may do that. I don't know if you guys have seen that already or not. But I always love those Superman movies. The last couple were great. Definitely enjoyed them. So looking to see how this one's going to be with the new director and everything else. We'll see. Other than that, we'll get back into swing of things on Sunday, see how the miners did, obviously, for this past week. Anything else, any other metrics that we want to take a look at. See where Bitcoin's at that point as well. So again, thank you so much for coming in, as always. Love you all. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you guys on Sunday.